representing diverse cultures and disciplines from across the world, to the 10th International Conference on Universal Human Values in Higher Education. We extend our heartfelt regards to you all from India, a land that has long envisioned education as a means of inner and social transformation. Education today must go beyond information and employability. Education must empower young people not only with skills to earn a living, but with values to shape a just, peaceful, and sustainable world. Value-driven education transforms knowledge into wisdom and action, enabling young people to build societies rooted in justice, harmony, peace, and sustainability in alignment with the global vision of the Sustainable Development Goals. With this spirit, it's my privilege to invite our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. Kumar Sambhav, to deliver the keynote on Vision for Value-Driven Education. Dr. Kumar Sambhav is a long-standing UHV resource person. He is an alumnus of IIT Kanpur, the key contributing author of the textbook, Understanding Human Being, Nature and Existence Comprehensively. Presently, he is Professor and Acting Director, UP Institute of Design, Noida. You are most welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Upasana. So we have the first keynote lecture here. And as you see, the theme for the conference is Empowering Youth Through Value-Driven Education for a Happy and Peaceful World. So we are going to have a keynote lecture on how to have the vision for ensuring this. So what would be the vision for empowering youth through value-driven education? So the conference is running in 2 shifts, day and night. So in the day we had this talk and we are going to have the talk again. So I think those of us who are overseas and whose time schedule matches this time, they are most welcome to attentively be a part of the session and interact with me. In India, probably it may be difficult for some of us to interact with me, but I would like to make it as interactive as possible in the limited time given. So in this session, we'll talk about solution-centric approach to fulfillment of human aspirations and resolution of concerns. We'll also talk about holistic development and the role of education, and then the vision for empowering youth through value-driven education. And in terms of that, we'll talk about the graduate attributes. So basically, we can have 2 kinds of approaches when we try to tackle a problem. One could be solution-centric approach, and the second could be problem-centric approach. So what is the difference between the 2 approaches? We'll have a look at it. Okay. Now, we see that we all have multiple aspirations. As a human being, we all have multiple aspirations, and we have many concerns to address. And when those concerns are not addressed rightly, they become a problem, and then we want to resolve the problems. But are we really able to make out what is the basic aspiration behind all those aspirations? Can we see our basic aspiration? Unless we are able to see the basic aspiration, how do we evaluate whether after fulfilling the aspiration that we have, the basic aspiration is met or not? It may be the case that we have been working day and night, toiling so hard to fulfill our aspirations, but we are missing out the fulfillment of the basic aspiration. So can we get to see that? Similarly, we are trying to resolve the problems, but maybe we are only struggling with the symptoms of the problems. We are not able to get to the root of the problem. So we're not able to address the problem at the root cause, and we keep on struggling with problems in our life. And we are seldom able to see a state in which we are resolved in continuity. So what could be that state in which we can be resolved in continuity? We'll try to have a look at that. Similarly, development is the buzzword. We keep on talking about development of myself, development in the family, development of the nation. Okay. And we keep on also evaluating to what extent I have been able to develop myself or my children, okay, my career, my family members, or the nation. Now, when can we say that the development is holistic, right? So we have to understand the real meaning of development. And once we are clear about the meaning of development, then we can also talk about the role of education therein. How can education be the tool for development, the pillar for development? Now, with that clarity, we can see how to empower our youth. So, this conference is, if you see, dedicated to our youth, right? And youth means then Gen Z and the millennials in particular, even Gen Alpha. So, how to empower our youth? So, in this keynote, we'll also talk about the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats our youth are facing. So, how do we empower our youth through value-driven education? So, we have been organizing this kind of conference for quite some time, as it was mentioned in the introductory session also. And every time we try to propose some content from our side. And I feel happy to share that in the past 25 years, a lot of development has taken place. In India, AICT has included this in all the colleges under AICT. Also, UGC is there, the Union Grants Commission, which is giving the approval to the universities. AICT has been giving approval to the technical institutions, and they have included it. So we have been working on it. And let me say that this is all a pro bono effort. None of us take any kind of remuneration out of this, and it's a whole teamwork that is taking place. So from this platform, when I go to discuss the vision for empowering youth, I will also propose some graduate attributes. Those of us who are in education are aware of the graduate attributes. So what kind of qualities we want from our graduate when they complete their program. Okay. Sometimes we call them as program outcomes. We can also call them as graduate attributes. So we'll try to have a look at that. I hope this is fine. And I request Dr. Upasana to see in the chat box if there is any pertinent question, then do please let me know. I can respond to that.
Sure, sir.
Being in online mode, I think this will be the smoothest mode in which I can interact with you. So let me say, that whatever I'm saying from my side is a proposal, and it's an open proposal. Okay, we can verify it on our own right. Now, when I go to verify something, I can see that there's an innate faculty in me, which I call as natural acceptance. Something I accept naturally, and there are certain things which I do not accept naturally. For example, if I ask you, what is naturally acceptable to you? Feeling of respect or disrespect? What do you say? You can respond in the chat box. Respect or disrespect? What is naturally acceptable? Let's try to look at it. Feeling of respect.
It's coming as respect.
Respect. Nice. Now, from where do you get this answer? Have you been trained to speak like this? Or it comes very naturally to you? What do you see? Does it come naturally to you? Or you have been trained to speak like this? You have got this input from some book or from some external source or something. So it comes naturally. This is our natural acceptance. This is an innate faculty in each one of us. And let me say that my whole task is to take you to your natural acceptance so that you can reflect on that basis. Whatever is being said here, you can reflect on that basis. And you see that once you are able to reflect to your natural acceptance, okay, you are able to get very genuine answers. So there is no need to assume something to be true or false here. The question is not to agree or disagree, not to set something as right or wrong. But the essence is to be able to reflect on our natural acceptance. I hope this process is fine. So it is a process of dialogue, a dialogue between me and you to start with. And you will see that it soon becomes a dialogue within your own self. So I'm saying something from my side and you are responding. So we are in dialogue, okay? And we are going to talk about certain things which are very basic to your life, okay? Which certainly does mean to us when we go to ensure happiness in our life, a fulfilling life. So you'll see that it very soon takes the shape of a dialogue within your own self. And there are two realities associated with each one of us. One is what I am, and the second is what I really want to be. So what I am essentially is a sum total of my acceptances, my likes, dislikes, my attitude, my skills, whatever makes, whatever I am today. And the second thing is what I really want to be. And that is my natural acceptance. So do you think the two are the same or different? What you are today and what you really want to be, are the two the same or different? What do you see? You can respond in the chat box. Are the two the same or different? Different. Yeah. And we see that this difference is the problem in our life. If I am the way I really want to be, I'm resolved. I'm at peace with myself. I'm comfortable. But when the two are not the same, then I'm discomfort. I'm not resolved. I'm troubled. I'm unhappy. So the purpose of the dialogue is to reinforce this internal dialogue. So if internal dialogue must have been taking place in you, okay, and you'll see that when we are going to address these issues, it gets further reinforced, this internal dialogue. So having said this, let me take you to the first part of the discussion, and that is approach to fulfillment of human aspirations and resolution of problems. And as I was saying that there could be two approaches. One could be the solution-centric approach and the second could be problem-centric approach. So we'll try to study both the approaches. Now, when you look at the aspirations, okay, so at the individual level, there are so many aspirations, okay, in terms of career, in terms of shaping our life, in terms of a secure future, a bright future, promotion, okay, name and fame, whatever. But at the very basic level, if you see, you have all these aspirations because you want to be happy, isn't it? Because you want to be prosperous, and that too in continuity. So behind all these aspirations is our basic aspiration, that is, we want to be happy and prosperous, and that too in continuity. Now, if you look at the same thing collectively, what do we want? So we want a humane society, a society in which everybody is happy, everybody is prosperous, the well-being of all is ensured. We have a system which ensures happiness for all, okay, prosperity for all. So this is our basic aspiration. Are you able to see this? Are you able to see this? Nice. So this is our basic aspiration at the individual and collective level. But then what happens? When we look at our current state, we can see that there are problems. There are problems at the individual level, at the level of family, at the level of society, at the level of nature. If you go to list all those problems, it may take more than 2 hours, okay, just listing those problems. Some examples are poverty. So we basically want to be prosperous, but we can see a lot of poverty in the society. There are inequalities, right? There are rivalries in relationship, making us unhappy. So why is that so? Are we not able to understand our aspiration? Or are we making less effort to fulfill our aspiration? Why is that happening? Of course, we are troubled by these problems and we want to get rid of them. Now, to get rid of these problems, say poverty, in which direction we are putting effort? To get rid of rivalry in relationship, in which direction we are putting effort? Okay. Let's say at the personal level, we have the problem of anxiety, right? Now, what do we do actually? We just take a pill when we feel anxious. Will that really cure the problem of anxiety? Say somebody feels anxious, okay? One has the psychological issue of anxiety. Now, whenever the person is anxious, he takes a kind of medicine, a pill. Will that remove the problem of anxiety? Do you feel so? No. Right? Let's say there is feud in the family. There is a property dispute, right? And if you try to accumulate more property, will that dispute be resolved? No. So we have to actually see then when we have these problems, what approach we are taking. What is our direction of effort? So one needs to make out whether we are making efforts with clarity of our aspirations. We have the clarity. Making effort to resolve the root cause of problems. Say if there's anxiety, what is the root cause of anxiety? Can I address that problem at the root? if there's a feud in the family, there's a fight in the family, okay, can I address the problem at the root? Or we are just trying to get rid of the symptoms. Say if there is a fight in the family and we decide that, okay, no one will talk to each other, okay, be at peace. Cause of the problem or just trying to get rid of the symptoms. So you'll see that most of the time we are trying to get rid of the symptoms. Okay. If there's a fight in the family and people are raising their voices, it's a symptom of something deep rooted. There's a lack of relationship. Okay. So there are three possible approaches. One is problem-centric problem-solving approach. So the problem comes, I become active in some sense, and then I start solving the problem. But I'm not really sure whether it is going to be solved in a sustainable manner. It may be the case that when I'm going to solve the problem, I'm raising some other problem. So for example, I have anxiety, I take a medicine, it causes headache. Okay, it causes some disturbance in the stomach. So one approach could be when I'm trying to work something, only looking at the problem and just trying to get rid of the particular problem, maybe the symptom of the problem. The second could be solution-centric problem-solving approach. So I face some problem and then I look at the root cause of the problem and try to solve it there. But my focus is again at the problem. I become active when the problem arises. Right. So I'm trying to look at the root cause of the problem, trying to work out the solution, not just get rid of the symptom of the problem, but I become active when the problem arises. This could be the second possibility. The third say solved. Okay, it's not that I become active when the problem arises, but I work proactively in such a way that I do not have problems. Now, which one is naturally acceptable to you? Let's say 1, 2, or 3. One would be problem-centric problem-solving approach. Second could be solution-centric problem-solving approach. And third could be solution-centric solution effort. Which one is naturally acceptable to you? Nice. Third one. Now, education is this approach. Okay. A child, 5 years old, comes to the school. And when we are able to inculcate such values in the child, when we are able to develop such an understanding in the child, that the child always thinks about harmony, always works for harmony, always develops oneself to live in harmony, then the whole life he is able to live a harmonious life, okay, not causing any problem for oneself or the other. And this can go from individual to family to society and nature. So let us see how this third approach can be effective, how we can actually make it happen. Now, if you look at the current situation, we can see that there is lack of clarity of human goals. We are living in a society, we have so many goals, right? But mostly they are conflicting. If I become the boss, the other will not become the boss. If I acquire the land, the other will not be able to acquire the land. So in place of having clarity of the common human goal living in a society, we have conflicting goals. Or we have completely differing goals. We do not have a common goal. So if you look at the same thing at a societal level, we can see that there is lack of clarity of the human goals. And that percolates into my individual life. My own goals might be conflicting. Like one goal could be that let everybody in my family like me. And the other could be let me boss over everyone. When I go to boss over everyone, the people in family do not like me. And when I go to be someone who can be liked, then I cannot boss over everyone. So there's a lack of clarity of the human goal, and that's why there's lack of effort for fulfillment of human goals. And we can see it very much in individual life, or be it in a family, or be in a society. And that's why there are problems at every level. On one hand, education is growing. Now everybody has access to education, right? In many countries, access to education has been made free for the children. So almost every child has access to education. The literacy is growing. Okay. Now with the digital platform available, everyone has access to so much of information around the world. But at the same time, you can see the problems are also growing. We did not have so many psychological cases occurring earlier, which you can see now. The families are disintegrating. Earlier, joint families in India was a common sight. They become nuclear families, and even nuclear families also disintegrating. We are getting so many complaints, so many cases of divorces being filed in the courts, so many family disputes coming up in the court. So the family is disintegrating. In the society, we can see so much of struggle. We can see so much of differentiation, right? Injustice. And in the nature, we can see pollution, resource depletion, so many problems coming up. And we are, of course, troubled by these problems and want to get rid of them. So if you look at the efforts to get rid of them, efforts are being made for problems at every level. And we all can see, we all also are trying to get rid of the problems at individual level or in our families or in society or around us, okay, what we call as nature. And many people are making effort at the level of these levels. And the efforts could be like even in terms of making some organizations, movements, something like that. So what is happening actually? Where are we going wrong? Okay. Are we really working with solution-centric solution effort or something is going amiss? So for example, let's say there is a problem, lack of fulfillment in relationship. Why that so? So we made out, okay, there is lack of fulfillment because there is lack of communication between people. So let us develop some technology so that people can communicate with each other. So what we did, we developed telephony, right? And the technology is on the rise. 30 years back, only we could see some landline phones in India. Now almost every hand, every family member has a mobile phone. So the technology has become successful, right? A single small mobile phone can hold so much of data. We can run videos throughout the day. So the technology has become successful. About 80% of the population have a landline or a mobile phone. But how about the technology being successful in the real sense? So the transmission has increased. The data transmission has increased, right? But have the communication increased or decreased? So everybody in the family is busy with one's own mobile. Everybody is looking at the rest of the world, but not looking at one's own family member. The mother may have a headache, but the child is busy with the mobile in a game. So the child is not concerned whether my mother is healthy or not. So the data transmission has gone up. But how about the communication? Has it gone up or gone down? So it has decreased. The communication, if you see. So what is happening actually? The real problem was lack of relationship. Okay. Has the relationship improved? Now, is there greater fulfillment in relationship? What do you think? Has the relationship improved? No, it has gone down. Rather, it has gone down. Similarly, another case, if you see, problem of pollution. So the data on the right hand side, in fact, I live in Greater Noida, and one morning I got this AQI data from the website and I found it 781. And you can see that this is really hazardous. The upper limit is 300, and we are living in a society in which air is so polluted, isn't it? So what to do? Now this number AQI, is that the real problem or a symptom of the problem? What do you feel? Is this number AQI, is it the real problem or a symptom of the problem? What do you feel? Only a symptom, isn't it? Now what we are doing, as an effort to get rid of the problem, we are developing more advanced cars with more advanced technology. Earlier we had BS4, then BS5, now we have BS6 in India. Okay, now rules are being made that only BS6 cars would be running on the road. Another thing that is coming up, artificial rains, cloud seeding. So now the pollution in Delhi NCR has gone up so much that now people are thinking about having artificial rain just to get rid of the problem temporarily. Now, do you think this can be a sustainable solution? So even if we develop such cars, we are able to develop such technologies where we can have cloud seeding, artificial rain. The technology may become successful if you look at it only at a superficial level, but the actual problem has not got resolved. So the harmful pollutants per vehicle have decreased with these technologies, but have the pollution overall increased or decreased? Now, day by day, we are seeing that the pollution is going up. Okay, the technology is going up, but the pollution is also going up. What is something which is missing? See, if you do not work on the mindset of people, if you are not able to, okay, mend our way of life, then whatever technologies we are developing, that is overall not going to be successful. It works on one part of the problem and develops some other problem. For example, if you go for artificial rains, it may disturb the whole ecosystem. There could be environmental crisis. So, do you think there is greater fulfillment in nature with the effort that we are making today? Is our fulfillment with the nature, is it improved or is it getting worse? It is getting worse. So multiple such examples would be taken up, and like we are going to have sessions on sustainable development goals, health and education in our panel discussion. So there we welcome all to be a part of the panel discussion, either as a panelist or as an audience, and get to interact with the experts in the discussion. We will be taking many more such examples and talking about other issues. And the sessions would be named like addressing SDGs holistically, holistic human health, holistic value-based education. So these two approaches, if you see, problem-centric approach and solution-centric approach. So when we are having the problem-centric approach, many times we are not able to address the root cause of the problem. You will get to see basically the problem lies with our thoughts. The problem lies with our conditionings. Okay, we become the cause of the problem, and unless we are able to develop understanding within oneself, unless we are able to have the right feeling within oneself, unless we are able to mend our lifestyle, the problems are not going to resolve, right? Some problem will keep on coming up. So if you look at the problem-centric approach, generally we are only working at the symptomatic level, and the solutions that we are looking for are a kind of temporary relief. Pollution has gone up, go for artificial rain. Okay, the AQI comes down the next day. Fine. You spray water, AQI comes down the next day. Okay. But actually the problem is not getting resolved. So if you look at the solution-centric approach, we can look at it in 4 steps. So the first one would be clarity of all-encompassing resolution. And that essentially means I'm able to see by myself very clearly what is my program to lead a happy and prosperous life in continuity, free of problems. Okay. How can I have harmony at all levels of my living? How can I have harmony in all dimensions of life? And that is having the clarity. And not only at individual level, even at the collective level. What would be my role to ensure harmony in the society? What would be my role to ensure harmony at every level of living, every level of society? So that clarity comes at the first step. Once I have this clarity, then I can make effort for all-encompassing resolution. So let's say that I have this clarity. Now I propose this as education to the society, and gradually everybody is getting resolved. So this is a proactive program. When you go for solution-centric solution effort approach, this is a proactive program. So I resolve myself and I share my resolution with the rest of the society, and gradually everybody gets resolved. And if you see, this is the basic task of education. Now, in due course, there may be problems coming up. Okay, so I'm able to analyze the problem not at the symptomatic level. Now, in the light of all-encompassing resolution, if I'm able to see that the problem lies with the mindset, actually, so I have to change the mindset. Okay, without changing the mindset, if you just keep on developing technologies, it could be devastating and it could be devastating in some other sense. So, for example, to make such cars, to make batteries, now we are extracting so much from the nature. It is creating some more waste. So, can that be a sustainable solution or not? We have to really think into it. We are consuming so much from the nature that our children are now asking us who has given us the right to consume the planet so much that it is not fit to live for them. We have depleted all the resources. If we pollute the whole of nature, then actually is it going to be livable for the generations to come? So with this resolution, we are able to analyze the problem in the light of this all-encompassing resolution, and then we can make effort to get rid of the root cause of the problem. So have a glance at it. Try to look at the 4 steps in the solution-centric solution effort approach, and then just try to find out is this approach enough or something more is required. All 4 steps are necessary, or something can be left out or added. So have a look at it. I'm not saying that this is the only approach. Okay, it is just a proposal from our side, and try to first of all look at it at a personal level. In your personal life, whatever problems you are facing, can that be solved through this kind of approach? Generally, what do we do? Generally, we start from 3. Now, if you see, without having clarity of the all-encompassing resolution, if I just start analyzing the problem, I may be doing something else. I may be beating around the bush, right? I'm not actually addressing the root cause of the problem. So try to look at it at a personal level. Am I doing the right thing? If I am not resolved in an all-encompassing manner, and I'm only analyzing some problem, then maybe I'm addressing the problem at a very superficial level. So for example, there's mistrust between husband and wife, and that's why there's a quarrel. And then you just work out that, okay, when the other person is there in that room, I will not go to that room. So that there's no fight taking place in the family. Will it really solve the problem? Not talking to each other or fighting with each other is not the actual problem. The actual problem is the lack of trust. And the solution lies in developing trust. Now, if you do not work to develop trust in a relationship and just try to resolve the problems in terms of quarrels or something by adopting some temporary techniques, will that actually work in the long run? And maybe we are doing that only in our life. So try to look at this approach at a personal level, in your family, in the workplace where you are working, in your neighborhood, and try to see how it applies to you. Is that a valid proposition? Can you try to work out these 4 steps in your personal life, in your family, in your role in the society, in your organization? Have a look at it. So find out what would be the order. Do we start from 3, then go for 4, and then go for 1 and 2? Or we start from 1, 2, and then go for 3 or 4 as per the need? Look at it. And what we are doing today. So our approach is solution-centric approach. And under this solution-centric approach, our effort is for developing a shared vision and action for human education. And through that, the emergence of a humane society in which the well-being of all is realized generation after generation. Do you think this is a doable task? Do you think this is desirable? What do you think? Is it desirable? Yeah. Is it doable? Is it doable to work for a emergence of human society in which the well-being of all is realized generation after generation? If you see, collectively, all our grudges and complaints are because we are not able to work in this direction. So we have to develop a vision and share it with each other. Now, then when we go to make such an effort, and particularly in the mainstream education, we have to make it holistic and value-based. So if you see, presently the education has got largely skill biased. There's so much of orientation towards skills. Let every child learn AI. Now from class 3 only, the children are being taught artificial intelligence. Okay, so let every child get adept with AI. Let every child learn so many languages. Let every child learn so many tools and techniques. Okay, but then what is happening? So presently, if you see, the education has become largely skill biased, but uh, education without values is merely a transfer of information. But education with values is transformation. Can you make out the difference? Transfer of information and transformation. The two are quite different, right? Presently, we are only transferring information and making them skilled. But actually, what we want to do is transform the lives of the children. They are coming to us with an expectation that we can pave the way for a happy and fulfilling life for them. But are we actually doing this? So when you go to do this, there are certain basic guidelines which have to be looked into. So first of all, it has to be holistic. Holistic means it has to include all dimensions of life, all levels of living, right? It cannot be fragmented. It cannot be isolated, or it could not be limited to a particular dimension of life. Let's say we can only talk about individual and family, but leave out the society. Or we can talk about society and nature, but not talk about the psyche of the person, how the person can be fulfilled within. So it has to be holistic. Second, it has to be universal. Universal means that it has to include, it has to be applicable to every human being, irrespective of caste, creed, gender, region, whatever. It has to be applicable to every human being. If it is not applicable to every human being, then it will cause differentiation. Okay, and when there is differentiation, then we cannot be mutually happy living together. So it has to be universal. Thirdly, it has to be rational. Rational means that it has to appeal to my reasoning. It's not that you have said this and I have to assume this as true. No. So if you go by teaching morals, okay, if you share some moral story, some poems, okay, and some dictum, some dogma, some belief, it is not actually going to work. We have to encourage the children to ask questions, and we have to be ready with the answers which they can verify and validate. And for that, you will see that to have this kind of education, which is holistic and value based, we basically have to develop ourselves first as teachers because we are their mentors. Okay, we are not just passing information; we are mentoring them. So it has to be rational, right? And we have to allow them to ask questions and apply logic to whatever we are saying, not just assume something as true or false because it has been said by someone, it is written somewhere. No, not like that. Next, it has to be verifiable. Verifiable means that whenever we say something, it has to come as a proposal, and then one has to verify. Then one has to verify within. So as we are trying to verify within, looking at our natural acceptance, in a similar manner, we have to allow every child to verify within by looking at the natural acceptance and also validating one's living. So that verification is a must. And finally, it has to be humane. Humane means that it has to lead to harmony, okay, at every level of my living. But you can find out by yourself whether these guidelines are okay. Do we need to remove something out of that? Or do we need to add something to this? I'll say that these guidelines are also an open proposal. And the more openness with which we are trying to observe, this will help us resolve ourselves better. So this will result into fulfillment of individual goals for happiness and prosperity through the development of human consciousness. It will also resolve the problems at their root, and it will ensure a humane society in which the well-being of all is ensured generation after generation, and which is our coveted state, our basic aspiration. Fine. So let me take a pause. If anyone has any question, either you can raise hand or you can write here in the chat box. I welcome our friends overseas because we had this second shift to welcome you in the session. I can see there are many friends here from Morocco. I can see from Australia. There are so many friends of us. In fact, let me mention that hundreds of participants have registered from outside India, and this is very good to see. And we certainly want to interact with you. In fact, we are together a world family. So we are here to get in dialogue with each other and address our concerns. Nice. So having said this, now we can look into the holistic development and the role of education. So we have been talking about development, and we have to see what holistic development means. How can the development be holistic? And once we are clear about the development in a holistic sense, then we can also be clear about the role of education. So what is the role of education? So as we propose, the role of education is to facilitate the development of the competence to live with definite human conduct. And definite human conduct means conduct in accordance with our natural experience. So for example, as I was asking you, what is naturally acceptable to me is feeling of respect. Now to live with definite human conduct is to have the feeling of respect within me unconditionally for the other. Okay. Now what respect is, we'll try to understand in the next keynote lecture. Now, if I'm having the feeling of respect in continuity, that is having definiteness of conduct. But if my feeling is fluctuating, sometimes respect, sometimes disrespect, sometimes trust, sometimes mistrust, sometimes affection, sometimes jealousy, this is indefinite conduct. So basically, education is to develop this level of competence that the feelings get definite. When the feelings are definite, then our thoughts are definite. When the thoughts are definite, then our actions are definite, and then our conduct is definite. Okay, and this can be ensured only with right understanding. So this kind of competence has to be developed through education. Now, when you look at the different kinds of fear that we have, one kind of fear is fear of natural calamities. So there could be a thunderstorm, there could be a volcano, there could be some tsunami or something. These are all natural calamities, right? The second kind of fear is fear of wild animals. So we have carnivorous animals, right? And we generally used to have the fear of wild animals. And the third is the fear of inhuman behavior of human beings. Now, out of the three, which is predominant for you? What do you feel? Which is predominant for you? First one, second one, or third one? Out of the three kinds of fear. Third one. Nice. Now, if you see, with the development of technologies, we have been largely able to contain the natural calamities. Even if it is raining outside, a thunderstorm outside, we can protect ourselves. Okay, we can see such tall buildings which are able to stand erect, even though the earthquake is up to 6 Richter scale. So, so much of safety we have ensured through technologies. Wild animals, we do not fear anymore because we have either killed them or we have restricted them to a certain part of the planet. So we do not fear the wild animals. But how about the person who is living with me in the family, within the house? Now, you'll see if you look at the news of crimes coming today, okay, close family members killing each other, okay. Uh, I will not go into all the details, but this kind of news was not to be heard of earlier. Student firing bullets at the teacher, okay. Recently in Sydney, we had that firing scene when two persons started firing at a crowd. So you see that the inhuman behavior of the human being is gradually going up, and this fear is also going up. On one hand, literacy is increasing, okay, and this is also increasing. But you can make out whether this is increasing or decreasing. This fear of inhuman behavior. What do you feel? Increasing or decreasing?
It's increasing. It's increasing.
Increasing. Nice. So literacy is increasing, and the fear of inhuman behavior of human being is also increasing, right? But this was not intended at. We were hoping that when literacy goes up, people will get educated and the fear will come down. But the reverse is taking place. If you see all units around us, they give definite conduct, except human being. And that is the source of fear from human being. So if you see trees and plants, their conduct is based on their seed. So if it is a neem seed, it will grow into a neem tree. The conduct is very much definite. And the neem will have the same taste. If it is a mango seed, it will develop into a mango tree. It will have the same taste. Right? So the conduct is based on the seed. If you look at the animals, the conduct is based on their breed. So if it is a carnivorous animal, it will have that kind of instinct and it will behave in a similar manner. If it is a herbivorous animal, it will have that kind of instinct, it will behave in a similar manner. So the conduct is based on the breed. But if you look at the human being, the conduct is based on the education and sanskar. Sanskar means our living, our acceptances. And this education starts right from home. Okay, if the parents have indifferent conduct, the children also develop indifferent conduct. If the teachers have indifferent conduct, the students also develop indifferent conduct. So if you have human education, then it ensures definite human conduct. If it is inhuman education, right, then it ensures indefinite inhuman conduct. Now, if you are seeing so much of indefinite inhuman conduct in the society, then what is to be blamed? I'll say certainly education. I'll not say that this is the only source, but this is one of the prominent sources, right, through which this kind of conduct is getting stated in the conduct of the child. So the role of education is to facilitate the development of the competence to live with definite human conduct. Are you able to see this? Can we, let's say, expect that a person who has got higher education is going to be more responsible, more trustworthy, more respectful, more affectionate? Are you able to see this? Presently, maybe no. The person is more skilled, but one may apply the skills for some unethical practices. Now you can see that the in the IT sector, technology is growing day by day. But similarly, cyber crimes are also growing up. Now, of course, those who are committing cyber crimes must be having the cyber literacy. So on one hand, the cyber literacy is going up, but the cyber crimes are also going up, right? So the role of education is to develop this competence so that the child is able to live with definite human conduct. So who is expected to provide this education? Parents, teachers, society, who? What we feel? Who is responsible? Is it parents or teachers or society? We generally see that parents have a feeling that they are paying fee for the students and the students are mostly with the teachers in the school or colleges. So the responsibility lies with the teachers. Okay, they have someone offloaded their responsibility to the teachers. Teachers feel that they have so much of syllabus to cover, so many tasks to do, okay, so many responsibilities already with them. Where is the time to develop the competence? You can only cover the syllabus, conduct examinations, bring out the results on time, get them placed. This is all that we are working for. Now, when you have a parents teachers meeting, the parents would be blaming the teachers and the teachers would be blaming the parents. And finally, the two settle together to blame the government. That is the government which is at fault. It's not us, right? We have a limited opportunity, limited role to play. What can we do? It's ultimately the government which is at fault. But just see who is electing the government. It is we, who are parents or teachers, right? So it boils down to, I'll say all, but essentially, if you see, the responsibility lies with the teachers. If the parents are not able to develop this competence, if the society is not able to develop this competence, then certainly the teachers have a serious role to play. So is there need for such education or not? What do you feel? You can respond in the chat box. Yes. So is there a need for such education? Find it out. And are we able to ensure it? So if you want to provide such an education, then what would be the basic requirements? We'll explore into this. Okay. So how to ensure this kind of education? So for that, we have to look into our aspirations, our need as a human being. So if you look at the need, there is one need to survive. Okay. And the need to survive is fulfilled through physical facilities. So to survive, we need food, clothes, shelter, and these are all physical facilities, and we are working for that. Fine. But is it enough? It's survival enough? It's not only that we want to survive, we also want to live with happiness and prosperity. Now, if you go to fulfill this desire, this need to live with happiness and prosperity, there's another very important thing which is there, and that is relationship. Okay, I'll ask a pertinent question here. So look into your family, okay, and find out what is the major cause of problems in the family. Is it lack of physical facility or is it lack of fulfillment in the relationship? What is the major cause? Find it out. So there may be problems in the family, okay, but then can we get to see the major cause of the problems? Is it physical facility or relationship? So relationship, nice. Even if someone feels that it is the physical facility and not the relationship, let me cite a very crude example here. Let's say in a family, okay, there are four people and everybody requires 5 loaves of bread every day. So the family requires 20 loaves of bread in a day. Now let's say someday only 18 loaves of bread are there, two are falling short. Will there be a fight in the family for food or not? What do you feel? Yeah. So if there's a feeling of relationship, they will feed the other first and then eat. But if there's a lack of relationship, we snatch from the other and even hoard for tomorrow, so that if tomorrow also the same situation is there, then I should not be in problems. Now just see, we can see that in the last 50 years, the physical facilities in the families have gone up so much. And similarly, the family feuds have also gone up. If you look at the family courts, there are two primary kinds of cases which are being filed. One is the husband-wife relationship, when they are filing cases of divorces. And then there are feuds for distribution of property. Okay, brothers are not able to settle the dispute and they are going to the court. So the physical facility is going up, but due to lack of relationship, the problems are also going up. So you can very much see that it's not only the physical facility that is required, we also require relationship. But even if you go to make the relationship harmonious, there is another thing required, and that is right understanding. So to live with continuous happiness and prosperity, we have to work for the right understanding. If I'm able to understand myself, okay, unless I understand myself, how can I understand the other? So to have fulfilling relationship, I need to understand myself. I need to understand my relative. And we have to develop this understanding together. Then only we can have fulfilling relationship. Many times I have seen it so happens that if you're not able to work for right understanding, then we try to fulfill relationship by fulfilling the desires of others, wishes of others. You keep on fulfilling the wishes of others, right? And the other is not have any definiteness of desire. Okay, the list is growing day by day, and you are getting tired fulfilling the desires of the other, and then you ultimately say that it's never going to be resolved. So
one response is coming from Zimbabwe,
yeah,
Yuki Guariro, and the response is sometimes physical facilities to an extent, though, is problem in family in spite of mutual fulfillment in relationship.
yeah, nice. Find it out. So in those moments also try to see whether the basic problem was the lack of feeling of relationship or lack of physical facility. Let's say if I have a feeling of relationship, okay, and the physical facilities are falling short in the family, then we'll work together the next day to ensure that there is enough for everyone. Okay, we can work together the next day. But if there's a lack of relationship, we do not join together, right? We are separate and then we are struggling with each other for distributing that physical facility. So find it out again. So these three things we propose from our side are the basic requirements for every human being. One is right understanding, and it is to be ensured in the self. Second is relationship with human being, and the third is physical facility that we get with the rest of nature. If you look at the physical facility, it is necessary for us as well as animals. But for animals, it is largely adequate. Say if you have a cow in the house, you provide fodder to the house twice a day, water thrice a day, provide a shelter to the house, shelter to the cow, and the cow is very much comfortable. But if you try to do the same thing to your child, is it enough? If you try to do the same thing for yourself, is it enough? Certainly not. We'll see that when we have some lack of physical facility, we feel uncomfortable, unhappy. But when we have that physical facility, we seldom feel happy about it. We forget about it. Okay. For example, how many of us feel happy that we are getting enough to eat? If we do not have enough food to eat, we are in trouble. We feel depressed that I cannot even manage food for myself. You know, what good I'm doing in my life. But once we have enough to eat every day, we seldom feel happy about it. Okay. If you do not have clothes, enough clothes, you feel so depressed. But once you have the clothes, you seldom remember how many clothes you have. So I'll assign a task here for everyone who is attending the session, right? Are you really aware how many pairs of clothes you have? If not, then can we count our clothes tonight or today? You know, tonight in India and today in the rest of the world, right? So can we count our number of clothes? That is a pertinent task to do. So you see that even though keep on purchasing clothes, we are not aware how many pairs of clothes we have. And we feel that we have less and we keep on accumulating more and more. So find out, all three are required or is something redundant? Can we leave out something from here? Yeah, all three are required. As a human being, okay, Dr. Prashant is saying that he will count tonight. Nice. Yeah, it's something pertinent. In fact, I also maintain an Excel sheet in which I keep on listing all my clothes. So I need to be aware how many pairs of clothes I have. And are we taking care of all the three? Yeah. So if you have all the three in your life, do you need anything more? What do you feel? If all three are ensured in your life, what else do you require as a human being? And are we taking care of all the three? Or we are largely taking care of the physical facility? So does physical facility ensure fulfillment in the relationship? For example, the husband is getting a handsome salary. Now, at the end of the month, when the husband gets the salary, he goes and gives some garment to the wife, right? But scorns at the wife, mocks the wife, right? Will that fulfill the relationship? Certainly not. In return, what will wife do? She will prepare a very delicious dish, okay? And when the husband goes to it, she will push the plate to him. You know, you hungry person, now eat it. So, like there may be so many facilities in the house, but if the relationship is not harmonious, then we certainly not feel happy about it. So, if all three are required, what would be the priority? And working on the higher priority means that it is going to facilitate the actualization of the lower priority. So, what would be the priority? So, let's say right understanding, relationship, and physical facility. What will come first? I think those of us who have attended workshops on human values, they must be aware of this. But I request all those who are new to this, they may kindly respond to this. What will come first in your life? If you try to look at the level of natural acceptance, what is holding a higher priority in your life? Explore it. Without right understanding, we'll see that you cannot ensure fulfillment in the relationship. Say, for example, I do not understand myself. So I'm always anxious with myself. I'm not at peace with me. Now, someone may even give a glass of water to me and I may shout at the other. The other has not done any mischief in the relationship, but I am shouting at the other because I'm not at peace with myself. Right? So without right understanding, how can I ensure fulfillment in relationship? Similarly, we don't know how much physical facility we require. We just become like a bottomless glass. So if the glass doesn't have a bottom and you put it below a tap, it will never get filled up. Our life becomes like this only. Our salary is growing every year, right? Maybe. Our facilities are growing day by day. But our life has become like a bottomless glass. We are not able to make out how much physical facility we require. And we keep on accumulating, still feeling unhappy about it, feeling deprived. So regardless of how much physical facility we have, we keep on accumulating and we feel deprived. So problems in the family are more due to lack of fulfillment in relationship than lack of physical facility. And hence you can see that relationship is more important than physical facility. Of course, physical facility necessary. So if you try to prioritize them looking at your natural acceptance, you see that right understanding comes first, right? With right understanding only, we are able to ensure the feelings which are naturally acceptable to us. Trust, respect, affection, love, all these feelings which are acceptable to us naturally. We are able to state, ensure this feeling in us only with right understanding. So all three are definitely required. Okay, but we'll keep the priority open for you to explore. So first, thing is right understanding, second thing is relationship, and the third thing is physical facility. Now we can see the outcome. When we are ensuring all the three, and when we are only working for physical facility, what happens? So when you are working only for physical facility, then due to lack of right understanding, you are unhappy within, and you are making others also unhappy. So if there is a person who is there in the department who is always unhappy with oneself, and the moment he comes to the department, everybody feels somewhat uncomfortable. Now this person is going to cause trouble for us, right? So unhappy within and making others unhappy. Similarly, due to lack of right understanding, we are not able to make out the need for physical facility rightly, and we feel deprived. We feel that we have less. And when I feel that I have less, what will I do? I'll try all means to accumulate more and more, right? So what will I do? I'll exploit others. I'll deprive others, be it human being, be it rest of nature. I keep on exploiting. And this is what is happening in the society. On one hand, the currency, okay, the economy is growing, but on the other hand, the exploitation is also growing. The feeling to exploit others, deprive others is also growing. So that's why we can see that in the society we have two kinds of people: those who are lacking physical facility and feel unhappy and deprived, and there are still those who are having physical facility, but the common factor is that they are still unhappy and deprived. And the present day education, which is largely skill biased, can at the most take people from 1 to 2. Our students can go from 1 to 2. But what we actually aspire for is 3: having physical facility, but at the same time, you know, being happy and prosperous. So find out where do we want to be and where we are now, right? This is something that can be kept open. But we can very much see that we want to be at 3, certainly not at 1 or 2. So this is inhuman consciousness, working only for physical facility, ignoring the right understanding, ignoring relationship, just accumulating, indulging, and for that exploiting others, depriving others, right? This is inhuman consciousness. But when we are able to set the right priority, what happens? With the right understanding in me, I am happy within, right? And whenever I interact with others, I make them happy. My feeling of relationship gets communicated to the other, and the other feels comfortable with me. So I am able to ensure mutual happiness. Similarly, with right understanding in me, I am able to make out the need for physical facility rightly, right? And I feel prosperous. Similarly, I work with the rest of nature in such a way that the nature also gets enriched. So it is mutual prosperity, right? Now you can see, on one hand, like the cities are growing, right? But the water table is going down. The rivers are getting dried up. Some of the birds are not to be seen anymore. The forest coverage is going down. Pollution is going up. The land is no longer fertile. What is happening? What is happening? So much of devastation we are doing to the nature. So if I'm able to ensure all the 3 with the correct priority, then it is human consciousness. So I'll say that we all are human beings, but to be human, we have to ensure all the 3 with the correct priority. So the journey is from human being to being human, just this much. If you look at the whole journey, only it is this much. And this is the transformation that is actually required. And then only we can say that we are developing in a holistic sense. So find out what is naturally acceptable to us. Something which is written on the bottom or something that is written on the top right corner. So where are we today? And are we making effort for transformation? So when we are making this kind of effort for transformation, then only we are developing in the true sense. Okay, then only we are progressing in the true sense. So progress of a country doesn't only lie in adding more and more physical facility, right? We have to take care of all the 3, whether people are happy or not, whether families are getting harmonious or not, whether relationships are more fulfilling or not, whether needs of everyone in terms of physical facilities are getting fulfilled or not. So then only we can say that we are progressing in the true sense of the word. The society is transforming. So just find out, do we need to make effort for it or not? So physical facility alone can't ensure transformation, regardless of the extent of its increase. holistic development is ensuring all the three with the correct priority. And with this, we'll explore into the role of education in holistic development. If you look at some data, the data says that the global food production is 6 times the requirement, and still the food wastage is 1/3 of production. So twice the requirement of food, it is getting wasted away. You can just see such a surprising data. On one hand, people are dying of hunger. There are so many societies in which children are into malnutrition. They do not have enough to even keep them surviving, right? And on the other hand, so much of food is getting wasted. Just looking at a news from Sudan, and I could see the kind of uh, uh, sight that is there. When you look at the children there, the families there, okay, they are dying of hunger. And on the other hand, there is so much of wastage. So here comes the education. Yeah. 1 minute. Yeah. So we have to find out, are we really conscious, responsible consumers? Have you understood right utilization? Is it the question of production? So certainly not. When the production is 6 times the requirement, how can it be the question of production? It is certainly a question of distribution. In some parts of the world, the food is getting so much of wasted, and in some parts of the world, people do not have enough to survive. So it is certainly a question of relationship. And this question of relationship is a question of right understanding. And it is to be ensured through education. So certainly it is a question of human education. So this kind of transformation is required. And with that, once we have this clarity, then we can look into the vision for empowering youth through value-driven education. How to ensure this transformation through education? What would be the graduate attributes that we can set for our education? Yeah, if anyone has any question, then you can raise your hand. Nice. What is the vision for empowering youth? So when we have the value-driven education, then we can ensure all the three. One is right understanding in every child, the capacity to live in relationship with other human beings, the capacity to identify the need of physical facility, and then develop the skills and practice for sustainable production of more than what is required, and then do the right utilization of physical facility, which can lead to the feeling of prosperity. So when we talk about value-driven education, these three things lie at the focus. We have to ensure the right understanding of every child. We have to develop the capacity to live in relationship with other human beings. Also to be able to identify the need for physical facility rightly, and then to utilize them also rightly. But if you look at the current education, which is largely skill biased, what is happening? The first one is missing. It's a pity that we do not have a single course in which we are exclusively talking about right understanding. To understand a human being, to understand the relationship, okay, to understand our role in the society, to understand the existence. And that's why this kind of course is required. So to begin with, we included this course in the regular curriculum of the bachelor level students. Okay, then the student induction program was also ensured. And then we have minor degree also. So this kind of effort is being made for value education, but gradually we have to make it value-based education so that every course is having this kind of basic understanding. Now, if you look at the capacity to live in relationship with other human beings, that is also missing. What is being instilled in the minds of the child is that there's so much of competition, there's cutthroat competition. You cannot survive if the other survives. Okay, you have to get over others all the time. The students are filled with this kind of competitive mindset, and that's why we can see many students struggling with psychological disorder. Many students are taking antidepressant medicines. We have one city, Kota, here in India, where there are so many coaching institutions, and every month suicides are taking place. In IITs, every year, 1 or 2 suicides are taking place. So why is this happening? Okay, so that capacity is also missing. And even though who are so-called successful through this education, when they go to live in a family, then they are again struggling in relationships, not able to be happy with the other. If you look at the third thing, the identification of the need for physical facility is also missing. Okay, so how much is enough? People are not able to make out. When you go to conduct induction program for the students, then I generally ask them, how many of you want to become a billionaire? So every child will raise hand. I want to become billionaire. Then ask them, how many of you want to become happy? Then they will again raise hand. Yes, I want to become happy. Then ask them, how many of you are sure that once you become billionaire, you are going to be happy in continuity? And surprisingly, no one raises hand. Okay. So they are able to see that becoming a billionaire is not going to ensure happiness and continuity. Then ask them that, why do you want to become a billionaire then at all? And then they start laughing. Right. So that clarity is not there. How much is enough? It is not clear. In fact, let me cite one example here. In one institute in India, it was placement time, and the students were having some complaints about the placement, the company that were coming up. So the director organized a meeting with all the final students and asked them that, okay, what is your expectation from the placement? So many students said many things. One student stood up and said very categorically, I want three things from the placement. One, job satisfaction. Two, maximum pay. And three, if possible, no work. So this kind of mindset is getting built up day by day, that if possible, no work, but I should be having the maximum pay. So the willingness to produce by way of labor is also missing. Everybody who goes through education is looking for a white collar job. If I still have to make my hands dirty, it means my education is incomplete. But if I can make others' hands dirty and keep my hands safe, then I am educated. The willingness to produce by way of labor is also missing. Okay, and the right utilization is also largely missing. The core feeling that is generated is to accumulate more and more, consume more and more. Rather than to produce what is required and utilize it rightly. So this is the current scenario. So with this, we can do a brief SWOT analysis of the youth today, and we'll discuss in detail in the panel discussion. So in the panel discussions to follow, we'll see that we are going to have a detailed analysis of the youth in terms of strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So if you look at the strength, we can see that there's tech savviness and information access today. The students are so much adept in various IT skills. Okay, 5-year-old child can tell a grandpa how to use the smartphone smartly. So there's so much of tech savviness and information access. The whole world is there in your pocket in terms of information. The social awareness has gone up. Now, when one has so much of access to information, they are able to make out whatever is happening in different parts of the world. And the activism has also gone up. Okay, they have the energy. Every generation, if you see, the youth has energy, and when they are not oriented to a particular line of thought and they have so much of exposure, then of course the activism can show its outcome. There is so much of diversity and inclusion. Now, if you look at the previous generation, the generation that came before me, people were mostly aware of the caste, creed of each other, right? If you look at the current generation, even in our generation, that awareness came down, and in the generation to follow, the youth, if you see, in particular, seldom anybody knows about the caste of each other. So that has somewhat become redundant concept, right? Intercaste marriages are taking place, and so many things are happening. Earlier, when you had to write the gender in a form, then you had to write male or female, right? Now there is another gender called transgender, right? So the inclusivity is going up. The diversity and inclusivity is also going up. And there's so much of creativity and innovation. Now students are no longer looking for just some conventional jobs. They are trying to create jobs. They are trying to create, like, carve a niche in the society by their own innovation. So this kind of strength we can see. But the strength, of course, is there, but that with that strength is coming some weaknesses also. So you can see the mental health struggles. I was citing one of the psychological disorders and the silent tendencies, the self-harm tendencies, that is also going up. The lack of purpose and direction. So much exposure and no guidance. What will happen? What will happen? Okay. So lack of purpose, the lack of direction is there. There's over dependence on technology. So even if, like, one has to do the household chores, they are depending on so many gadgets to do. Okay. So there is over dependence on technology, and erosion of values is there. Inner stability is getting down. The families are disintegrating. Uh, the roles and responsibility towards elders, towards youngers, towards peer group, that is no longer that much visible. But we have opportunities also here. There is global exposure and cross-cultural learning. The interdisciplinary personalized learning is there. Now, earlier you used to have very conventional streams of engineering, sciences, medicine, and on so on. Now we have interdisciplinary branches. Okay, new kinds of education, streams in education coming up. Uh, I was just talking to someone and he said that he is doing a bachelor's in event management. Okay, this was not to be seen earlier, right? So many personalized learning courses are coming up, and youth can be change makers. They have the energy. Okay, they have so much of exposure, and if rightly guided, they can be the change makers in society because they are going to be the policy makers of tomorrow. They are going to be the parents of tomorrow. And the integration of soft skills and life skills is, of course, possible. In fact, I'll say that when I'm sharing this platform, sharing the content from this platform, so we are using some soft skills here. Okay, we are using so much of technology here. Like that gets coupled with the life skills, so we can educate the rest of the world in such a simple manner. But then there are threats coupled with this. So the consumerist and competitive mindset. You can see that the number of children in every family is going down, and the child has so much to consume now, right? Not to share, but to consume by oneself. So that consumerism is going on, and the competitive mindset is already there. There is misinformation and identity confusion. Now, there are so many sources of information. Which information is correct? It is not getting validated. There is no verification, mostly. And people are inclined to assume anything which comes to them. And then there's identity confusion. What is my role in society? I'm not able to make out, okay, through this kind of scenario. There's peer pressure and social comparison. Everybody comparing with everyone else. The hairstyle, the clothing style, the shoe style, the gadget style, the talking style, the walking style. They are comparing almost everything, right? So that kind of mindset has come up. And then there is uncertainty in terms of academics and career. So with that, we can see that there is, of course, a need for value-driven education. Value-driven education refers to an approach that integrates universal human values and ethical human conduct into the learning process through self-exploration. It focuses on holistic human development and not just skill development without clarity of purpose. So with this clarity, we can see the three things that come as a priority to us. So basic content of education is right understanding, developing the right understanding, and that essentially means understanding harmony at all levels of living, be it human being or family or society or nature or existence. I need to understand the harmony at every level of living. And then when I have this understanding, I live accordingly. And that becomes my sanskar, my acceptances that yes, this is the way to fulfill that relationship. This is the way to fulfill the needs of my body. This is the way to relate to the society. So that becomes my sanskar. And that ensures mutual happiness and mutual prosperity. And with this understanding, the values guide the skills. Okay. So the skills are not arbitrary anymore. It's not that the child will go for a job merely for a package. If you talk to a child today, they are ready to go for any kind of job that gives them a higher package. Not sure how this job, their task is going to affect the society. Now with this, we can have a look at the vision for value-driven education in terms of common graduate attributes. So what would be the attributes? So the first attribute is holistic vision of life. Not just limited to a job or a package or an increment, okay, but a holistic vision that includes all dimensions of life, all levels of living. So leading to clarity, self-confidence, and self-fulfillment. Secondly, socially responsible behavior, not based on cutthroat competition, but rather accepting the other as my relative. So that will enable teamwork and responsible personality. Thirdly, environmentally responsible work. So it's not that I have to exploit the nature, deplete the nature, to accumulate more and more, indulge more and more. No. Basically, I have to work with the nature in such a way that ensures prosperity within me and also with the rest of nature. Then ethical human conduct, providing the basis for ethical reasoning and strong ethical grounding. As Professor Dhande was saying that I'm able to see that I'm going to do the same thing even if nobody is watching me, right? So this is being ethical. That is integrity. Okay. When nobody is watching, still I'm able to do the right thing. Then having competence and capabilities for maintaining health and hygiene. So you'll see that present day generation is consuming so much of junk food. Okay, it is causing harm to the health, and the hygiene is also at risk. So for that, appropriate lifestyle is required, and then appreciation and aspiration for excellence, that is merit and gratitude for all. So let me say that whatever I'm sharing from this platform is not my wisdom. Okay, it is something that I've inherited from the long human tradition, and I really feel grateful to the long human tradition in which people have really worked for wisdom, and they have worked for the betterment of society, and we are just a link in that chain. So let every child have this gratitude. Let every child have the gratitude towards parents, towards teachers, towards the society, right? I suggest from this platform that these are certain graduate attributes which can be also a guideline for our syllabus. So when we have the board of studies meeting, we chalk out the program outcomes, we chalk out course outcomes, course objective, program educational objectives. Okay, those who are into accreditation are well aware of this. So can this be included in terms of program outcomes? Can our programs focus on this? Can our institution have this kind of vision? Let every child who goes to my institution have a holistic vision of life. Can that be embedded in the vision of the institution? So look into this. So the expected outcome would be that by aligning value-based graduate attributes with a SWOT analysis of the youth, the education can become a transformative tool for consciousness development of the mankind. Okay. So not just transfer of information, but transformation. Now, if you expand this, then right understanding essentially means understanding harmony at every level. And when I have this competence, then I'm able to ensure justice in all my relationships, right? From family to the world family. So in the next keynote, we are going to talk about how the guidance can be had from education so that every student is able to be a part of the world family, right? Similarly, with right understanding, we are able to make out the need for physical facility rightly and participate in the larger order. And while ensuring family order, we are also able to ensure world family order. Then only the society can be humane, right? So more education means more human society, not more problems. Can you see this? So we'll have the keynote addresses, 2, 3, and 4. If you see in keynote 2, we are going to talk about harmony in relationship. In keynote 3, we are going to talk about harmony in the society. And keynote 4 would be for implementation of holistic value-based education. So this kind of transformation is desired. Okay. So at personal level, we are able to set this priority. And when you talk about the society, we'll talk about the 5 human goals that is mentioned here. Right understanding, right feeling in every individual, ensuring happiness in the human being, health in every individual, prosperity in every family, fearlessness, that is trust, justice in society, and coexistence, that is mutual enrichment in the nature of existence. And then human education can bring transformation to the individual, and the individuals together make the society. So the individual transformation is the building block of the societal transformation. So if you see this building, it is erected on bricks, right? In a similar manner, the society is made up of individuals. So the individuals are living in harmony, society is also going to be in harmony. But on the contrary, we can see that the scenario is something that is on the left-hand side. So many problems are there in the society, and people are struggling only for physical facility. So this kind of overall transformation is desired through education. So let me sum it up by saying that basic aspirations of a human being are continuity of happiness and prosperity, right understanding, relationship, and physical facility with a correct priority are required for fulfilling the basic aspirations. Working for all the 3 with a correct priority, ensuring fulfillment of basic aspirations is living with human consciousness. Holistic development is transformation to human consciousness, and the role of education is to enable this transformation. For this, the education has to ensure the common graduate attributes, and parents, teachers, society all have the responsibility of providing such education. So at this conference, we want to share our experiences, discuss the vision, and chart a way forward. And in particular, our expectation would be that in institutions where this kind of inputs are not being given presently, you may please come up with your proposal, how we can get in touch with you, how can make a program together so that such courses can be initiated in your institution also. And let me reiterate to say that our whole effort is pro bono, without any remuneration. It is as a gift to the society. So that is all from my side. If any questions are there, I can take up. Otherwise, yeah, we can conclude now. Ji, Upasana ji.
Yeah, thank you, Kumar Bhaiya. Few participants are here joining from Sri Lanka, Australia, Nigeria, US, Zimbabwe, etc. So you are most welcome to ask question or share your reflection, please. Mike is there with you. You can unmute yourself and ask or share your reflection. Saroj Jayasinghe ji.
Yes,
Yes,
hello.
sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are audible.
Right. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm from Sri Lanka. I'm an emeritus professor in medicine and a clinician and who has been involved in medical humanities in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for that very erudite presentation, Prof. Kumar. And it's been indeed a pleasure to listen to you as well as the other speakers. So if I were to look at the SWOT analysis from our experiences in relation to areas such as ethics, behavioral sciences, introduction of behavioral sciences, introduction of ethics, communication skills, and trying to encourage a curriculum which looks at the humaneness and attributes such as compassion and so on. That's the sort of experience we have. And if you think of the strengths which we have, would include the recognition that these are important for higher education. So recognition by the universities, recognition by the society, and of course the regulatory bodies and even the government. So if values and if whatever we want to introduce to a curriculum have been recognized by a wider group, I think that's certainly a strength. And if there is a global movement which has the same vision, again, that's a source of strength because it enables us to share our experiences and move forwards. If I were to look at the weaknesses, well, just like recognizing it has a positive influence, lack of interest is a weakness. So if there's a lack of interest at or about values in our society, again, or in our students or staff or universities and so on, then again, that's going to be a huge point of weakness. And this lack of interest in the development of the self, the development of the being, is another area which is problematic, because most education tends to promote the technical skills, and the so-called soft skills are there is a delay in or lagging behind of soft skills, and the education systems often ignore the importance of the self, and that's where values, virtues, compassion, and all these come in this, the inner being or the I within us. Now, that brings me to a strength we have, because our cultures, our philosophies in the East have always been looking at the inner introspection and the inner I, as it were. And if you look at Buddhism or Hinduism or Jainism and so on, there is a lot of reflection within to look at our own thoughts, our own emotions, and emancipation and so on after that. So So the strength and the weakness, they're combined. They're sides of two sides of the same coin, as it were. Then, of course, the weakness which we have is that our curricula are stretched with so much of content. There's so much of overwork, and there is a severe restriction on time. Now, opportunities are also there, and one interesting opportunity is the fact that with AI, there's going to be disruption to the system. Be it disruption in education, in disruption in technologies affecting us, or disruptions in government policies, always gives us an opportunity to move forwards because the system is now has to come into a new balance. So I think there is an opportunity there, and that's where interdisciplinary work and introduction of humanities and so on can help us bring in these values. And I would like to emphasize the role humanities can play in promoting value-based education, because it is the humanities, especially the arts and the humanities, where people really reflect on the emotions and the inner self. And the artists are probably the best to do that. And the people who write novels and do theater, who do paintings, poets, and so on, a very fertile and diverse group of uh, of expertise out there who are looking at humaneness and human values and emotions. Then, as for threats,
Sir, I think we have to be in touch to discuss at length. There is some limitation of time there, but I think please join the panel discussions. Then you can share your experience at length also, if possible.
right. Okay, thank you. So just one sentence I would finish with about the threats, and that's in relation to AI, which is going to have a huge impact on the way we function, and even the hardwiring of the future generations of students. Yeah, thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Nice, nice. Thanks for your input, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for giving your reflection. Actually, we have limitation of time because next session is awaited. So thanks, Dr. Kumar Sambhav, for this enlightening keynote. Very true, when education nurtures both the mind and the heart, youth rise beyond ambition to purpose, becoming ethical leaders, compassionate citizens, and responsible stewards of our shared future. Thank you once again. Now it's 15 minutes break. We'll see you again at 10:30 p.m. Indian time in panel discussions. You may join panel of your own choice, maybe higher education panel, health panel, SDG panel, or counseling panel. Stay connected, stay happy. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Namaste.
think there is one student from Australia, Ananya Banerjee. So maybe you can join in the panel discussion
Yeah.
if you get the time and opportunity. If you have a brief comment, I think you can just write in the chat box. Or if you would like to unmute and say one sentence, then most welcome. Ananya.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Dr. Kumar. It was an absolute honor listening to you. After having studied in India for 18 years and 4 years in Australia, I wanted to quickly add to what you shared, that a lot of times students in India are running from the place of fear and pressure that they're told to attend class, or they're told to be part of an organization for a particular certificate. What is missing is the freedom and trust the students can get from institutions to promote more enthusiastic learning. And it's unfortunate how qualifications don't guarantee how people are kind or humble. So I hope that we are able to build that place together where there are more kind people, because I think the earth and the world needs more kind people than more technically proficient people. So just wanted to put that thought across, and glad to be part of this. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you. Thanks for the input.
Thank you, Ananya. Thank you so much. So now we conclude this session and we'll invite you for the next session after 15 minutes break. Thank you. Namaste.